All right, ladies, it is 4:30, so we'll get started. My name is DeIla Ray. Thank you for being here today for our Tradeswomen webinar. Today, we are going over equity and safety, a global report on women's access to proper PPE. And we have the amazing Amy Roosa from the Safety Rack joining us. Just a quick lead in for information. If you guys have questions and things like that, please hit up the chat. We'll be keeping an eye on that for questions as well. But please don't be silent on your end. We really want this to kind of be an open flow for everyone. The talk for PPE is always a good one, and we have some really cool things to share with you all. So I do have a slide that I want to bring up and get that open for everyone to see. So I'm going to go into screen sharing and then show you stuff. Let me get there. All right. Let's get it here. All right, ladies. I'll go slideshow. All right, everybody can see my screen, I'm hoping. All right, so as I said, this is the Global Report on Women's Access to Proper PPE presented by myself and Miss Amy Roosa. So for our agenda, we'll do an introduction of ourselves. We're going to be talking to you about the My Body, My PPE campaign that started last year, how it started, what came about from it, and where things are moving forward with it. We'll go over some of the survey results. I know Amy's got some incredible stories as well that we'll be talking about from women that we've heard from throughout this campaign. We love any kind of recommendations from you all as well. And then we'll do some questions and answers and go over things if you all have any questions, okay? So we'll get through here. So hopefully you guys know me by now. If not, I'm the current president of Chapter 341 Central Missouri and your current Tradeswomen Committee Chair. I'm one of the co-founders with Amy for the My Body, My PPE campaign. I currently work as a welding instructor in Mexico, Missouri. This is my third year here. For the Safety Rack, I am their PPE expert. And, being an advocate for women in trades has just become part of who I am. And something that I'm really proud to share in line with that is also being able to advocate for the young men in my program, and that they also now get to enter the field after going through school and having learned from a woman. It's not going to be something that they've never seen before. So advocating for women and men has become something that I love and I'm really excited to share about. So next up we have Amy. Amy, if you'd like to take the lead.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I am Amy Roosa. I am the founder of the Safety Rack. I am the co-founder of the My Body, My PPE with DeIla Ray and Emily. I'm going to get Emily's last name wrong. Emily, yeah, from Juno Jones. I am also the co-founder of the Midwest Women in Safety Conference. I've been advocating for women in trades for 2 decades for the duration of my career, and I'm excited to share some of the insights from the report today. So a little bit about the Safety Rack, if you want to go to the next slide. The Safety Rack just formalized as a nonprofit, but the Safety Rack started 3 years ago as just a way to talk about the products that were out there for PPE for women. And I met up with DeIla around that first year, and she came on board to talk about welding products and to test things out. And very quickly, we discovered that it needed to be more than just a platform that shared stuff about the clothing, that there was a larger equity gap. And we kept having a lot of conversations with women in the trades, with employers. And so the vision of the Safety Rack now is through research, education, and advocacy, we want to aim to empower women in the workplace, ensuring that you have equal access to the essential protective gear that you need for your well-being and success. Our mission, we are committed to closing that PPE equity gap for women across all industries. Whether you're in the trades, medical, or military, you deserve to have proper protection. So that brings us to the My Body, My PPE campaign. A little bit of insights to this. Next slide. I might let DeIla actually kick this part off.
Oh gosh, did I hit it too far? Okay, here we go. Yeah,
There we
so
go.
like Amy mentioned, it started with call that the three of us ladies here you see on the screen were on, Amy, Emily, and myself. And after that call, we continued our conversation and realized, something's up. There's something that we're missing in the industry. And so the launch was in April of last year. And of course, the reasoning was this is bringing awareness to this gap. We all know we don't have the things that we need. And so we wanted to find a way to start that conversation and get the ball rolling. And that's where it kind of came down to creating the survey to identifying that equity gap. And a lot of great things came from that. Amy, do you have anything else on this slide you want to say before we scroll?
Yeah, this was built out of slight frustration. We were on calls like this. We were talking to a lot of women, and the same conversation kept being brought up. We don't know these products exist. My employer probably doesn't know these products exist. This is the hazards that I'm facing with the gear that I'm forced to wear. And I personally got off that phone call just very, very upset because we know, and you can go to the next slide, DeIla, because you're leading
Very
right
good.
into it. We are not a one size fits all. We are not small men. We have unique bodies, and the PPE that we need to wear needs to fit, right? It needs to contour and adjust to our bodies. We have slimmer shoulders, we have narrow waists. But when the PPE is too large because we're given it and we're told just deal with it, or this is all we can find, or this is just the way it's been, we become a walking hazard, or we may not wear the PPE, or the PPE actually becomes the hazard that causes the injury. And I think this picture does a really good job of displaying oversized PPE versus proper fit. If I'm wearing a jacket that is right at my hips, I have free range of motion versus if it's going halfway down my knees. Same thing with the pants leg. If it's hitting the bottom of my boot, it's going to cause a trip issue. It's going to cause things to catch on it, right down to even a safety vest, which is my own personal experience of getting a safety vest caught on a doorknob and having it swing back and hit me in the ribs really hard. These are common things. And what we were finding in the conversation is nobody was voicing this out loud. And that was part of what the PPE campaign is supposed to do, is allow you to share your stories, allow more awareness to be created. And we did it for a week. And I thought we had good results. Next slide. Just to hit a little bit more on the PPE equity gap, some of the things that we did during the campaign was also talk that the equity gap goes beyond clothing. Hard hats don't fit right. We lose a lot of hair wearing them half the time, or they fall off because the ratchet on the inside doesn't adjust correctly to us. Eye protection is more designed for men than women, and because we have narrow faces, it creates more gaps. And that's just going to allow for debris to get into our eyes. Fall protection has always been designed for men. I don't believe there's a thing called unisex for fall protection. There's only 2 brands now that make women's fall protection that's actually designed to work with our hips and our pelvis area to move and allow us to flex better. Same with hand protection. Why hand protection is probably a little bit easier for a lot of us to find. It's still a little bit of a trouble on job sites because employers tend to go extra large, large, maybe a medium. And half the complaints we were hearing during that week was, I need extra, extra small. And then, of course, foot protection. This was really Emily's big thing, too, is she started her company, Juno Jones, based off of the fact that she couldn't find shoes in her industry. And what was out there could be Shrink It Pink It, where it's made off of the casting of a man's foot and not a woman's foot. And our feet are uniquely different. And then, next slide, it goes even further than this. The little things that maybe employers don't think about. FR bras, right? We don't want to be in a condition in oil and gas and be wearing an underwire bra. That would be very painful should you ever have to experience flames on you. And the biggest one that's still a major equity gap, but it's getting bigger, is maternity wear. We still have to work during our pregnancies. We don't get to just have time off. We may not get accommodations from our employers, or we may not even need it. But if we have maternity wear that doesn't fit us properly, it's not going to be comfortable to wear all day. So
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Amy. No, I was
No,
gonna
no,
say
go ahead.
I was gonna share too, like you were talking about hands. I work with my hands daily being a welder. And glove issues have always been my biggest problem. Just because of that fit and needing to be able to feel. You talk about safety related issues because of things not fitting properly. I can tell you from experience for years when I was working in the field, when I'd be given a size XL for gloves and there's no way my hands are actually fitting them, what I would have to do in order to make those fit, I'd put them on, I'd get a weed burner, put my hands in the flame, and literally use the heat to shrink them to my hands to be a better fit. Like, isn't that crazy to think of the things that we have to do to compromise our bodies and the PPE that we're wearing to do the work that we're doing sometimes? It's more frustrating than anything. And looking back on it, I'm like, what the heck? It's wild to look at the path in which I've done the work and the things that I've had to manipulate to be able to work with. So, talking about FR bras, I know Serafina. Serafina does a lot of like the underlayers and things like that. And there's more and more companies that are coming out with it. But it is interesting to see what we have to do to manipulate the things to make them work for our bodies. So thank goodness, even though say for the maternity wear, there's only two out there, but they're coming. They're
Yeah,
happening. Yeah.
it's getting better, but that week was built off of one, women using the hashtag MyBodyMyPPE and sharing their stories. I think the hashtag was shared over like 500 times. We also highlighted the manufacturers that week that were closing the equity gap and providing women essential apparel. But the key thing and the key focus for that week was also a survey that we created, because we could create a social media campaign, we could have a hashtag. That was great, but we wanted to do just a little bit more to see where you guys felt the equity gaps were, where the pinch points were for you, and we wanted to hear your voices and see the results. So the survey was released globally. We got it out to as many organizations as we could, and we do plan again to do another survey in about another year or two. Globally, we had 505 women participate. I feel like that is one of the strongest survey results that I've seen. Outside of Canada, did one just for Canadian women that had like 3,000. This gave us really good insights into what was going on. And we have the report coming out. It's at the editor right now, getting the final formatting and approval and cover page, and it will be released in March. Uh, we had 17 questions total on that survey, and it really did provide a lot of insight. So we want to share at least a few of those survey results and a little bit of the analysis and recommendations that will be in that report. So one of our questions we asked obviously was, do you have access to PPE in the workplace? And not a shocker here, but over 70% of women said no. They don't have proper access.
I would be
And
curious in the chat. Going wrong. I'd be curious in the chat, do you guys have to buy your own PPE or is your company providing it for you? Is that something that you guys have to seek on your own? But is your company, if they're providing it, is it something that's actually fitting your body? If there's
yeah,
anyone that would like to put in on that while we're kind of working through some of these, it'd be interesting to kind of get insight of our audience as well. I know for years I would get some from the company, but to ensure that it fits, yeah. So what it says here, my company buys it, but I find it to purchase so I can make sure that it fits me properly. Okay. You buy your own, you do your own. I own my own design firm. Oh, Smita, that's why Amy said we need a me. Okay. Okay. Union contractors provide all PPE. Very good. And they're proper sizes for you, Diana? Like they provide you what your need is?
So I'm in Los Angeles, so we have a lot of contractors. So of
Okay.
course the huge ones certainly make the effort to provide it, but yeah, smaller contractors are not always as good. So of
Yeah.
course it continues to be an issue for proper fitting PPE in
Yeah.
general.
Very good. And I see Jody here. We provide it for our electricians, but do not have specific female fitting PPE. And, I found it as my mission. I'm in front of a lot of manufacturers nowadays through my network, and I found it my mission to say, where's the women's line? If I'm able to communicate with those people, then I find it my duty to say, then where is it for women? So Jody, maybe you could be the one for your company to say, where is the specific PPE for our ladies? PPE doesn't
Yeah,
fit well. You buy your own, but I'm the boss of my trade business.
I like
Yeah,
that.
Allie. Union contractors provide, however, buy smaller to fit. So it's the shrink it and pink it kind of
Yeah.
thing, where it's just a smaller men's size. It's not necessarily made for your body. It's a mix, buying your own. It's not
We're
proper
going to talk about
sizes.
the procurement side of this a little bit
Okay,
at the end for the
very
recommendations.
good. Well,
So
then we'll go on
the
to this
next,
next one.
yeah, one of the next questions we asked was, have you ever encountered a situation where the lack of properly fitting PPE hindered your ability to perform your job? Again,
Yeah,
not a shocker. It was 66%. I could have done a better job on these charts. 66.6% of you said, no, it was not hindering your job, but 33% of you did say yes on that. So that gives us insights that the PPE that you wear is restricting you to an extent. Oh, I got that wrong.
yeah.
I'm so sorry. Flip that. 66% of you said, yes, it does hinder your ability to do your job. I can't read a slide today.
It's okay.
Yeah, no. And I thought this was good because we know that there's a lack. We know we're not being provided it. We know that what you are currently being provided is hindering your ability to do your job. On the next question,
Amy, didn't you say on this one specifically, there was a remark from another female welder being hindered by her ability to perform her job because the gloves were too big. It got caught on the equipment and she ended up getting burnt.
she did get burned. She was underneath some equipment welding and the gloves were just too big
Yeah.
to shrinking them, but she ended up with second-degree burns. And she shared her story during the My Body, My PPE campaign week. And it was shocking to hear that one along with a few others. And eventually I'm going to get those stories on the blog for the safety rack here shortly. So we want to be able to hear those stories. We want to be able to use them to help educate employers and help advocate to close that equity gap.
Very good.
Next slide. Have you personally experienced a near miss while wearing ill-fitting PPE? What we were looking for in this question was, have you almost had a severe accident, something that would have caused you to be severely injured? And the resounding results to that were 62% said yes. So we know that these are a problem. We know that we need to start closing that equity gap. And then the last question that we'll share is, have you ever encountered a situation where the lack of properly fitting PPE hindered your ability to perform effectively? And again, yes, is a high rate out there. The survey just kind of kept finding consistency there. There was one where, have I ever been affected with actually having injury, was a little bit lower, because we're probably catching it. We're probably aware that the PPE is not working for us. So we have a little bit more active awareness to that. Overall, next slide, our analysis did show the gender disparities in PPE access, the widespread issues with PPE fit. We have the safety concerns in the workplace, and then workers' effectiveness and productivity is impacted by not wearing properly fitted PPE. And there is an employer responsibility and awareness here. One of the goals of the Safety Rack in this report is to start working with employers, procurement teams to start understanding the differences, and also on how to ask your distributors or manufacturers to make sure you have like for like items in your inventory. This can now happen because 10 years ago, we didn't have the amount of women's PPE that we do today. And 20 years ago, I could almost say it was non-existent unless you were in FR, and that would be like your typical Bulwark or Lapco. But you didn't have the amount of shoes out there, safety vests, FR gear, base layer, maternity. It was very, very hard to close those equity gap. But there's still a myth out there that it doesn't exist. And one of the things I found during the campaign and then subsequently after was, I've had phone calls from people going, my distributor was in today and literally told me that they don't have anything. And I'm like, who's your distributor? And 2 seconds later, I can be like, do you have this brand? Yeah. You have women's PPE. You're just not educated on it. So there's a big educational gap here that needs to get closed. Next
Yeah.
slide. Oh, I don't know if you have anything else to add. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're okay. I wanted to point out your images here with the high-vis vest. Isn't that insane to look at that size difference and where they sit on your body? And we all know that it can go both ways, whether it's too big or too small. Not having that proper fit is going to affect your productivity. It's going to affect your performance, right? So it's insane to see how just changing up a simple size fit issue can make the difference of it all, but it's getting everybody on board. It's that employer responsibility and awareness, manufacturer responsibility and awareness, all of the above. I want to check real quick in the chat, make sure I'm not getting behind on anyone with questions. I see some shout outs from like Rebecca talking about safety glasses and going through Z-Tech for those that they're on point. And of course, she's got pink ones. I saw your pink lace safety vest today too, Rebecca. Let's see. Oh, V, not Z. Okay. Contractors provide. I'm just trying to make sure we're not missing anything. I know Allie posted on here saying that if you have questions for harnesses, for a women's harness, to reach out to Kathy Dobson. She would be a great resource for that as well. But great communication there, ladies. We'll go to the next slide, Amy. So now we're going to go through the recommendations.
Yeah. So we broke recommendations down to employer and end user. For the employer, and you'll see this in the report when it comes out, we really want the employer to go back and do an evaluation of their existing PPE program and policies. They may need to go back and do hazard assessments with it as well to really dive in to see if anything's changed. I want them to be able to, one, do this evaluation so that when they go to the distributor and they start sourcing this, they can start getting more educated on what is out there. But they also need to do the homework themselves. And it's as simple now as going to Google and typing in women's PPE, or they can go to the safety rack. In March, we launched the full list of vendors that actually have women's PPE. We have vetted them. We have confirmed that they're not doing any trinket pinkett. They have good sizing and they're safe. So we want employers to be educated. There will be resources on the page for that. But then working with their distributors is going to be the big crucial piece to this. They need to make sure they set the expectation with their distributors or their manufacturers that for whatever the men get, we want like for women. Because by pushing back on the distributors or manufacturers, it pushes them to go back and make sure they're getting it into their inventory. It shows them that this is a need and it's not going to just go away. And that unisex or men's sizes is no longer going to be acceptable in the workplace. And then, of course, every year or every other year, reevaluate. Go back to your women, ask them if it's working for them, ask them if anything needs to change. Go back to your distributors and say, what is changing in the market? And just keep pushing and educating yourselves if you're an employer. I will have a full list on the Safety Rack website here in March. And it'll be broken down by category. There will also be other industries mixed in there, but they'll be broken down. Like I'm working on a full list for medical as well. For allies and advocates, your recommendation also is kind of to do a little bit of homework. One, advocate for inclusive sizing in your workplace. The neat thing I think about this is there's a statistic out there that people who advocate for change actually tend to get more done than the people that actually are sitting there saying, I need it. I think that's a weird kind of statistic, but the more voices that are in this mix, the more it sinks in over time to the people that have to be the change makers. Support policy changes and encourage your company to make more inclusive language into their policies. Have that education and awareness piece, which is you can go to any of our social media sites. You can follow us if you want, or you can follow other brands, but staying on top of that and making sure that you re-educate yearly is always good. And of course, representation matters, right? advocate for more women to be involved in those processes and the design and selection of the PPE. We should not, as employers or purchasers, just be looking at something and be like, well, it says it's for women, it's good enough for me. Absolutely not. Manufacturers love to give samples away. Call them, tell them what you need, have them come in and be part of that conversation to see if they really can truly outfit your workforce, and then have your women tested. Not just for a minute or a day in an office space, but truly test it for a week or two out in the field to see if it's going to work for them. And if it's not, push back on the manufacturer or go find another one. Or if you have to make do, why they go back and redevelop something, at least it's better than putting them in something that's going to hang off their bodies and not protect them and make them feel like they don't belong in the workplace. Next slide.
I wanna throw in real quick too, talking about like awareness and education and supporting policy changes and just representation. I know I just recently shared with you the other day, Amy, but I was contacted by a senior from the University of Missouri. I'm right outside of Columbia, Missouri, so Mizzou isn't too far from me. And she's through the textile manufacturing department at Mizzou. And for her capstone project, her instructor is really heavy on making sure that they understand that it shouldn't be about just what you want to create. You should find a need for what you're creating in the world. And so when she started doing her research for her capstone, she realized that she wanted to do some kind of textile for women's PPE. And she said she typed in online women in construction and found our local NAWIC chapter out of Columbia, since they're Mizzou in Columbia, and sent us an email the day before one of our hard hat happy hours. And I was able to invite her to attend the hard hat happy hour with us. And there we had amazing conversation about how this young woman with no experience in industry is realizing that there is a need for women's PPE. And so I love my denim. I don't know if you noticed, love me my denim here. And I guess one of her favorite materials to work with is denim. And so she was like, would you be interested in me making you a work shirt and work pants? And I was like, what? Let's go. And so I'm meeting with her this coming Sunday, and we're going to do sizing. I get to see their lab where she's going to create this stuff and kind of walk through the do's and don'ts and what I wish I had or need. And she's going to create it specifically for my body. I'm blown away by it. I can't wait to see what she comes up with and what it feels like to wear. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. I think that's going to be something really cool to share about. So look forward to that. I'll get something out about it. So then the conclusion on here.
Yeah, and hopefully I didn't go through this too fast. I'm trying to be a little cognizant that this is
Oh,
everybody's wrapping up their evening, but the goal of the campaign was to address the PPE equity gap and to give us more of an understanding of where we need to develop the tools and resources at the safety rack so that employers and advocates and allies can all be able to reach them. And you, as the end user, can actually grab these resources and say, here, look, there's a way to close this equity gap. So we're hoping that when this equity report comes out, it creates more of a dialogue this year to close that equity gap, help educate people. And hopefully your employer, because of that, or you decides to implement PPE considerations that are specific to the needs of women in the workplace, whether that's FR, bras, maternity options, whatever it needs to be, it needs to enhance the protection, not cause the issue. So your voice truly matters in this. If you did participate in the survey, thank you. If not, don't worry, we're going to come back stronger in another year or two to really kick it up. I think there was a lot of lessons learned in our first year of putting together this campaign, but there was a lot of good activity, and we know that like NAWIC and other organizations want to support the next round of this. So I guess with all that being said, does anybody have any questions?
I see in the chat here real quick. Is it Kara? She said, I'm new to the group. Could you share the list of suppliers with women's PPE you mentioned? So let's see. Yeah, we'll get, oh, Amy, you were
Sandy,
on it. You said we're going to send it out. And then
yeah, and
Rebecca.
Sandy, your England has an entire campaign that's already been put out. I know the people over there and I can connect you. Bold for Brass was one of them, and Katie as well.
Yeah, can I come in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm sorry I joined a little bit late, but there was a lot happening here, even though it's late in the evening. It's 10:30 well, 11:15. Anyway, I've been watching you from the other side of the pond and communicating, I think, on LinkedIn. I mean, the good news for us here, I got involved with Boulders Brass, with Catherine, who is great, and there are some other great people, and also people from the Tradeswomen building bridges who came to visit us in the UK. And I got them into the Houses of Parliament, and we had a really good session there. Yes, you have to advocate, and yes, you have to be determined, and you have to be audible, and you have to be visible. And the good news is, in 2 weeks' time, we have a meeting with the British Standards Institute, which sets down the regulation and the guidance. And this to me is really, really important, because you can produce what employers should be doing and the equity thing, and you get your list of suppliers, which is really, really important. But I think what really makes them sit up is what they have to do. So it's a combination of carrot and stick. So we're really rather pleased that British Standards are saying, yes, we need to set this down. This is what you should do. And we had, Amy, I don't know whether you picked up, we had a really good piece of research done by an academic here with some guidance. And I'm very happy, if you haven't seen it, I'm very happy later to share the links. And we have another
Which
piece
one?
coming. Debbie Jansen at the University of Bath.
Oh, you're gonna have to share that with me.
Yeah,
Just
I'll
connect with
send you
me
the
on
link.
LinkedIn so I can give
Yeah.
you my email.
Yeah.
Actually, my email will be on the last slide here. So
Oh, fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
because LinkedIn's fine, but email's much quicker.
yeah.
And she came out with a good piece of research, and I did the introduction and the foreword to it. And the other really important thing, which I think is important for us in construction, is talking to people apart from ourselves. You know, the construction industry tends to talk to the construction industry.
Yes,
If
you're
we
hitting the
want-
nose on that one.
Yeah. And if we want policymakers and we want other people to help us, and so what we have done is involve the military and the police and the sports sector to say, this isn't a special interest group of these irritating women in the building industry. This is a fundamental important thing for women. And if you're wondering why you can't get enough people to do the work, who wants to work in an industry where they can't even make you safe with the proper kit?
Exactly.
And,
Yes.
and so that's what we've been doing. And the British Standards meeting we've got brings in people from all over. But we'll connect up. But when I saw the meeting tonight, I was determined to join you because you're doing great stuff.
Oh, thank
And-
you.
And we also need to make it global, you know, again, this isn't special interest, guys. You know, this is women around the
No.
world. So well done, everybody.
If you guys all probably do or don't know, because Sandy did a really good job. Obviously, the UK is way ahead of us on this. At the same time we were developing our survey, they were wrapping up a survey for their parliament with Kathy Robinson over there, the
Yeah,
PP
Katie, yes.
Katie.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's brilliant. Mm.
Yes. And so this has been a global effort in different countries by different women and different organizations to get laws here changed. Takes an act of Congress. We just had the OSHA standard for the construction industry.
Oh, yeah.
Reword the PPE must fit the employee. I'm loosely stating that. Didn't say gender specific. What they're trying to do over in England is get it more gender specific, and you will probably get that changed because your politics over there and your laws are a little bit more practical and looking at this stuff and saying it's a need, let's get it done and move it through. We have too many layers here in the United States to try to get some of that passed. Takes a little bit longer, but this is the nice thing. You guys get that done. It helps set the precedent for us to push for that to get done over here someday.
I think also because the Chartered Institute of Building, which is my professional institution, is global, and we do have very significant representation in the UK and Australia and increasingly in South Africa, what we're also trying to do is to show that it is global. And we have a very good ex-trustee, Virginia Borkowski, who is now working in Canada with Hatch, but she was working in New York for a while. And she's a great advocate. If you don't know Virginia, I'll connect you with her because she's very good, and it will make a nice connection with the states and us and the Chartered Institute. And we call
That'd
it
be amazing.
PPE that fits. So I'll send you some stuff and we can connect and share some case studies.
Perfect. And I can send you a little bit of an early advance of our survey results.
Great. That will be
Yep.
really good because it's data. You know, you need the data.
Yes.
You need the hard facts.
And that's the thing with anything designed for women, there's not enough data, there's not enough research. My goal now that we are a nonprofit is to start fundraising that so we can fund some serious research on this, whether it's women in trades or women in medical or women in military. There's such equity gaps that are very specific to those industries that need more data, and we need to be able to fund it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love how you all are, yeah, I love how you guys are hitting on that it's not just construction. You nailed it, Sandy, when you said that. And I think that's understood by the majority of us that it's going to take all of us to make this happen. It can't just be one sector to see that change. And, you know, if you all get it going before us, you may be able to help set that stage to where we see momentum as well. So where there's success one way, there can be success that follows from others with it. So wherever it happens, at least it's happening, dang it, right?
Yeah.
Get it happening.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
do it.
Yeah,
Just do it.
exactly. Just do it. There we go. Let's see. I know I saw something from Kara on here. It said that she read the OSHA standard when it first came out about the PPE and that you still had so many questions. Kara, did you want to unmute? You want to ask anything about that? I don't know if, you know, I
Yeah.
know we have a few here that can probably help you with a lot of that.
Well, nice to meet everybody, by the way, but when I say questions, to me, it was just very open to interpretation. It wasn't very clear and concise. I like black and white. I know that's not how things work in construction because nothing ever is, right? But I thought it was interesting. I work very closely with a lot of manufacturers, MSA Safety, MAGA Glove and Safety, and these guys and some of the gals, most of them are men, but I appreciate their willingness to listen to me on some of these topics. I go to a lot of their facilities to tour safety summits, things of that nature. So it was kind of a rhetorical, I have questions, but it just, to me, the OSHA standard, when it was published earlier this month, to me, it was still very vague. But if there's a way that I can get involved and kind of be a voice as I engage with these people on behalf of the advocacy network, I do it for my company all the time. But I'm learning more about the female PPE offerings that we can support our craft with, but you know, I'm here for it. So
Absolutely. Reach out to me on, do you want to do the next slide? Because I think it has my email on there.
Yes, it does. One more after the
Well, there's
Q&A.
Q&A there,
Oh, I was behind.
You guys can reach out to me. There, my email's down there. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am very happy to have anybody involved. As the Safety Rack is now evolving as a nonprofit, there will be opportunities for advisory boards and just other projects that we will have where we need help building out stuff. So I will gladly take any help that I can get. DeIla can tell you that firsthand.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. And the more hands on deck, the more we'll see ground moving beneath us. You know what I mean? Something that I do want to make mention, thanks to my wonderful Allie in here in the chat with us.
Blowing up the chat.
She sent me a direct. She wanted to make sure specifically, and I think it's a great place to mention it, Allie. So thank you. She was wanting to make sure that we make mention of the Tri-Region Forum and the need for tradeswomen to test the robotic exoskeleton that they have there. So for our NAWIC members specifically, hopefully if you haven't seen an email about this, let me know and I can make sure to push it to you. I pushed it out to all the women that I have listed as a tradeswoman in our association. So hopefully you were able to receive that, but it is the Tri-Region Forum, May 7th through May 9th. in Atlanta, Georgia. And it's saying that it's shaping up to be a groundbreaking event that will unite members from 12 states, 42 chapters, and over 2,500 members. And they have Georgia Tech Research Lab there for construction robotics, wearable exoskeleton training and fitting. So you're going to have it on. It says, as part of OSHA National Science Foundation grants, advancing human wearable robotic interaction skills in construction education. So that sounds wildly fascinating. If there's anyone that is a part of this webinar right now that has interest in that and you haven't received anything, I'm going to put my email in the chat. You're welcome to reach out to me and I will connect you there as needed. But it's a great opportunity for anyone interested in that and they're looking for tradeswomen or those within the trades. So please know that, oops, Allie, I just sent that just to you. We put it to everyone.
Somebody do it and then let me know how it goes.
I know it.
I know, right?
Somebody here, can somebody do it and like video it? Because I need to know. I can't be there. I can't get away for that week. I see Rebecca. I wish I could go to that. I know it. That would be phenomenal. Great shout out to that, Allie, and sharing information while we have some of our tribe here. Jody, thank you. Yes, that's exactly the hope with it. And then Kara says May 5th week is also construction safety week. Yes, very good. Very good. Excellent. And then let me make sure nothing else on that.
And then if you don't, if for whatever reason you forget not to follow the safety rack on like LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, DeIla, when we get the equity report out, I think NAWIC will send it out in their, okay.
Yeah, I can definitely connect. I got Savannah here with us as well and Jody. So I know that they would love to ensure that we share information like this to our women. What else, ladies? What other kind of questions, things that maybe you need help with? Let's see. Marjorie says there's already a regulation stating that employers must provide fitted PPE in general industry.
So
Yeah, I
yes,
wasn't
general
sure,
industry, maritime always had that standard built in that it had to fit. Construction was the only one that did not have the exact same verbiage, and now it does.
Sandy, we're so glad you're here too. I just saw you say that. Real pleasure to have you as well.
Yes, I was so glad you popped on, Sandy. Now I'm like, you're going to be my next bestie. So I'm definitely going to be talking to you in the next week.
What else, ladies? What other kind of questions or thoughts do you have with things? Anybody needing some kind of specific PPE they're having a hard time to find? We might be able to get information.
Yeah, I have a list of like 40, 50 vendors that will be going up on the website. If you can't find it, I might be able to find it. And if I can't find it, I will usually start bugging a manufacturer to build it for us.
Last year, oh, what's that?
I'll send you through our list as well if you haven't seen it already, Amy.
Oh, I should compare. I got some, but I wonder if I'm like a little bit off. Like I got the Port West and all, but I'm sure you guys have a few different brands that we don't. I want it to be a global list, so everything on our site should be a global resource and not just specific to the United States.
There's a very good person in Australia. You probably know about her.
Elena?
No. Now I'm having a senior moment.
I know like 5 different people over there. I know you have, oh, I know the 2 brands. You got 3 brands over there. One actually makes maternity, which
yes,
wrong.
she's great. Yeah, she
Why
does.
can't I think of her name?
Well, there's a name called like donkeys. What's it?
3 donkeys?
Yeah,
Yeah, 3
good.
donkeys.
Yeah, she's good. And she was a farmer. She was originally a farmer, and she's extended. And then have you come across Sophie Lydia Perkins, who works for Arcadis? No, she works for Atkins now, and she worked with a boot manufacturer and has produced a line of work boots for women on the site. And I'm trying to remember the name of the company, but she designed the boots.
Shewear, that's the company.
Yeah, and there's another one, but she's very good.
I swear, just for everybody on the call, if you're ever in a game show and they have a women's workwear question, I better be your one phone call or Sandy.
You're on speed dial, girl.
Um,
And
blue,
Sandy,
yes.
I was gonna say, Sandy, I don't know if you saw the message in here from Diana. She said, "Hi, Sandy. Glad to hear TBB had an impact. I was part of the TBB delegation to the Philippines last November."
Oh, neat.
So that's Diane Limon. And then Jackie
Hi.
Early made sure to mention in here, Amy, I don't know if you saw, I can't wait
Yep.
for Amy to present in March at the Tradeswomen Summit in Maryland. I know she's excited. We just talked about that.
Yeah, I will be there to present. I'm going to be a little more in depth. I'll take more of my time. We're going to talk about the equity gap and how to close it and some more of this
Mhm.
report. So,
And
Oh,
Rebecca
Becca,
did
there
a
it
shout
is.
out to Steel Blue. Here's some Steel Blue for you. I love the backside. These are some of my favorite boots. I've been rocking these for a minute now. So shout out to Steel Blue. They're probably the most comfortable work boot I found, but I also love me my Junos and my red boots, the cherry bombs, got it going on.
Yes.
Where else are we at in here?
I think the thing with a lot of the PPE, and so the original part to all this was we were testing the product, we were wearing it for a long time. Everything that I have, I actually have found it to be very specific in when I wear it. I have Rockport boots that are more affordable, but I will wear those to more of a construction site meeting, whereas my Xenas I will wear to more of a manufacturing, or my Juno Jones, I will wear in between all that. It really is versatile for the different comforts, and they definitely do last at different intervals. And that's where I find it different. Even same with the safety vests that I choose. Construction sites, I'm probably wearing my surveyor one because I need the pockets. Whereas manufacturing site, if I'm just doing a quick walkthrough, because that's my job, I will just wear one that doesn't have it. It really is based off of need. And the big thing is making sure that we understand where our needs are.
That was
And I think,
beautifully said.
yeah, and I think you can also have the cherry bomb Juno Jones, and you can have a pair of Cyril Blues and be fashionable and decide what you want to wear, because today you want to wear the cherry bombs and you want to feel pretty. These things can mutually exist on a job site.
Yeah.
Fashion and safety can actually coexist in the space.
Absolutely. When I wear my cherry bombs out in the welding shop, the students know where I am, no problem, because you can see the feet in the boots. And so they're like, Mrs. Ray, put your red boots back on. We can find you easier.
Yep.
And I love your shout out with Port West as well. I'm certain it's them. They have a wild variety of assortment for shoes. I'm talking ankle, higher, boot cut higher, steel toe, composite toe. They've got fashionable ones. There's like cheetah and leopard print on some of them. I mean, they can get really neat looking. And you're exactly right, Amy. It's not like you have to have one and this is the only one I'm working in. I don't know about you all, but I appreciate my variety of things in life. And so I'm the same way. Like I will wear certain parts of my PPE and clothing depending on what kind of work I'm doing. If I'm stick welding, I've got my leathers on. If I'm TIG welding, I can wear long sleeves and it doesn't have to be leather. So it placates to the work. Absolutely. And the PPE should be available no matter what kind of work we're doing with it. I see a few more things in the chat. Am I missing anything
I think,
here?
yeah, it was fine when I was a little kid to go and put my dad's boots on and his work coat, but I don't want to look like that on a job site. It was cute as a child. It's not cute as an adult. And we didn't get into this, and I'll get into this in Maryland, but there's the psychological safety part of this too, right? If I don't feel like I am taken seriously at work and I am seen correctly, it's a perception thing, right? How long am I going to stay at a job where I don't feel valued, or I get made fun of because guys are like, you look like a toddler. Who dressed you today? Because it doesn't fit. It goes back to that picture of like a couple of slides back. Like
Your
it,
jacket or the
yeah,
vest?
there you go.
The
Go
jacket I
back.
was going to talk about, is it this one here? I was going to say about that. I had companies give me jackets, and that's exactly me on the right. That was me on the right in the high-vis jackets that my employer was providing me, saying, all right, it's wintertime. Here's a high-vis coat. Go to work.
Mhm.
And like it was to my knees. I mean, my hands didn't even stick out the sleeves, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's wild.
So,
Oh yeah, Allie, Steel Blue has purple boots to them. That's great. And then Sandy just said Sophie Lydia Perkins designs boots for a company called, is it Ambler?
Ambler.
Ambler, very cool. They
Ambler.
presented her with a pair of white safety
Oh,
boots, which she
wait.
wore when she got married.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool.
I need to write that one down because I've never heard of that brand.
Yeah.
I
It's
just
called
want to see.
Ambler.
I want to see her in her dress with those on. I
Got a
love
lovely
that.
photo.
That's awesome. Very cool. Absolutely mix it up. I love the fact that we're women. We can be our feminine selves and we can still do hard, dirty work. One of my favorite photos that I have from years past with my welding hood was me in a gown, a gala gown, and I was dressed head to toe. I put my steel toes on and got my welding hood out and took, posed for photos with it. And at first I thought, this is kind of silly. Why am I getting the, oh, wait, no, this is because it's the embodiment of women. Like I can still be feminine and dressed up, but don't second guess me. I'll get dirty and do that hard work too,
Yeah.
So it's a neat thing to see the mixings of those, and it makes me proud as a woman to see that. Rebecca, I was just telling Charlie this morning, I'm buying myself a winter high-vis jacket. Are they not giving you the right size there, Rebecca? Miss Important? Tell that company to get them lady sizes out. Oh, it fits. Okay.
If it's-
Okay. Very good. Oh, it's the pink one, of course. I should have known. All right, ladies,
I
what?
think my next boot's gonna be the cherry bombs.
I'm obsessed with the red.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love her zip up ones too. And I was like, Emily, if you ever do those in a cherry bomb, I'm buying those too. I just need a closet for solely PPE at this point.
I have a closet solely for PPE at this point.
You need to. Safety rack.
I
That's
know.
great. What
I
else,
really,
ladies?
I really appreciate everybody being on the call today. I hope this was benefit. I think it was great conversation. So hopefully we can do another one again and probably invite Sandy to come speak with us. So, because this was good.
Cool. Yeah, get you across that pond to us. That would be
Yeah.
awesome. Yes. I love that. That's great.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you all. And Allie, yes, so today is not our normal meeting day. I know this is the end of the month. At the beginning of the month, I was sick. I was sick for like a full month, I think, at this point. The walking pneumonia, flu, strep, it's been a battle. And so it ended up working today for our reschedule for our Zoom for this month. But typically, our meetings are held, our Zoom meetings like this webinar are held the first Thursday of each month, most months. And so if you are available, you should get onto the national website and go to the calendar and register for the upcoming Zoom meeting. It is Self-Care Month. February is National Self-Check Month, Self-Care Month. And so that's what I'm going to be talking to you guys about and just going through. I know Crystal will be with us as well. I know a lot of times she's traveling at this time, going from job to job as an instructor and things like that. So I appreciate you all taking the time to be here. Be sure to register each month for the calls, for the webinars that we're doing. One registration does not register you for all of them. And then I want to point out, once you register, you can click the link there to add it to your calendar so that it's saved on there. And you just click it when it's time. And so if you ladies don't have any other questions, Amy, if you don't have anything else to add, Jenna says, this has all been awesome. Thank you for the information. And I can't wait to read the report and see the list. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jenna. That's awesome. What Amy's done with the safety rack, her network just only continues to grow from what I've been seeing. And she's got the drive to spearhead the safety rack and what the safety rack has been doing. And so I'm happy to help in any small way that I have been over the past couple of years, be a part of it,
Beneficial.
Amy. So, my gratitude to you and what you're doing, I can't say enough.
Oh,
Marjorie,
thank you.
thank you all. I love learning about all the resources available. And that's exactly it. Getting those lists out is going to be huge for people. I hear from a lot saying, where can I get this from? And so I'll send, this.
Yeah.
So having that like
The website
extensive
update is
list.
long overdue.
Yeah, getting
Yeah.
that extensive list, your website's going to be getting hit up. We'll be sending that link out to everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. All right,
Thank you,
ladies.
Allie.
Yes, absolutely. Well, if that is all, ladies, we'll get back 5 minutes of your evening. I appreciate your time tonight. Sandy, thanks for joining us all the way
Thank you,
from across
Sandy.
there. And everyone else, I appreciate you as well. And I hope to see you a week from tomorrow for National Self-Check and Self-Awareness Month. So see you all then. And I appreciate you all so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Everyone, and I did just put the registration link in the chat, so if you want to click that real fast, and get the
Ooh,
calendars for next week.
where's that? Is it in there? Is it? Oh, maybe it just hasn't loaded up yet. Good thought there, Savannah.
I'm so
Yes.
glad I'm gonna definitely connect with you online, but if we can set up a time to talk next week, I have availability on my calendar so I can do mornings here if your afternoons work.
That would be fine. Why don't
Yeah.
you send me, I've got some time as well. So I've got your email now.
Send me the email because my pen died and I was trying to
Yeah. Okay.
write.
My email's simple. So it's Sandy, Sandi. Oh, I'll send it to you. I'll
Okay,
send
yeah,
it to
thank
you. I'll
you.
email it. It's
Somehow all
Sandy
my
at
pens are
reesejones.com.
downstairs.
Very early adopter of technology.
And thank you for
Okay.
staying up so late with us, Sandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Hi, Jody.
It was
Hi,
really good to
ladies.
see you all. Really good
Yes,
stuff. It does us good to get out, you know?
it
Yeah,
does.
there are some things I want to talk to you about because there are objectives that I want to build out in the next year or two for the safety rack if we can get some funding in before the next survey comes out. Why we made it a global survey, I want to push for it to really truly be a global survey. And I feel like probably where we lost or where we stumbled, or at least where I stumbled, was we didn't early on tell a lot of organizations what we were gearing up to do. And I think had we had done that, we would have had more backing to push it out. When we had the survey and the hashtag come out, we had a lot of people being like, oh, we want to be involved. How do we get involved? And we're like, oh, sorry, didn't mean to. So this next time we do it, I want to make sure as many people that want to be involved can be involved. And we really make the survey the next level to understanding the equity gap.
Right. Well, I think it will be quite useful. Well, when we connect, I'll try and I've made a note of some of the things you're interested in. I'll share with you the Debbie Jansen work, the survey she did. And there's somebody else who's done one. But this has gone on for so long. But I think this has really got some momentum now. I think what's going to be interesting for you on your side of the Atlantic particularly, is the backlash against anything that sounds like ED&I.
I got that covered on my end.
Good. Well, I also say, I know guys.
I can
who
tell
haven't
you, I
got
made up a
decent
little bit
PPE.
tougher stuff because I just won't deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very respectful on stuff, but at the end of the day, this will be going forward, whether somebody wants to voice their opinion or not.
Well, I think in a way, it's highlighted how bigoted and dated and old this is.
Right.
And you just got to face up to the fact this is absurd. You know, if it wasn't, I laugh a lot, actually. I just laugh and say, you can't
kinda
be
have to.
serious. This is mad.
You're gonna
But-
love this. I had an article drop today called Burn the Pink. I'll send it to you. I haven't posted it yet because I'm waiting for Moxie to post it, but I wrote an entire article about how I'm done with pink PPE being used as punishment on people or as a way to degrade. And so I called it Burn the Pink, and my husband and I ordered pink safety vests and we burnt them as pictures.
It was awesome to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so patronizing.
It
isn't
is.
it? And they think that they will be happy with that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
And
we belong in the space. We're not going to go anywhere. And honestly, at this point, it's 2025. We need to be in the space to ensure sustainability and infrastructure. Like, we're losing people just because people are retiring and
Yeah.
the working force is aging out. Women deserve to fill these spaces. They deserve to be paid equally in these spaces, but they have to be safe in these spaces. And I get that my advocacy and our work that DeIla and I are doing is only one part of that domino, but I think it's a very vital part of the domino effect.
I think it is really important, but it's quite difficult sometimes to stay fresh. I think the biggest problem with some of these arguments is that they've gone on for so long, and the temptation is to say, how many times do I have to say to you, this is crazy, or it's wrong, or it's unacceptable? And I think the real trick is if you can manage to keep it fresh and have that data. But we have, I mean, I wrote a report in 1996, which I'm now revisiting, and you can read it and you can see the same stuff. The figures have shifted a bit, but it's all the same things. We have an aging workforce. You know, the average age of a steel erector in the UK is 55, and he's generally got a shot back. So
Yeah.
he's going to stop sometime soon. And we are short. Well, it won't make much impact on you if I say 250,000 people a year we need, because compared to the States, it's rather different ballpark, but it's
But
very
that's still significant over
It's
there.
significant. And we've been talking about this for now 30 years. And the industry does this because you have a boom and a bust, a boom and a bust. And you get people in and they say, I've got to go and drive taxis now because there's no work in construction. So it's wrong to encourage people. So we go on not getting the right people. And we've been saying women are 50% of the population. A lot of them want to work on site. They want to work in the construction industry. So why do you make it difficult for them to do it? So
Yeah.
it really is about time we stop repeating this to say, these are the things you can do. But I think what has been quite helpful in a strange way are the shocking figures about suicide. And the
Yes.
average suicide rate in the UK for men working in construction is 3.7 times the national average. And
It's
in
really bad
Australia,
here in
it's
the United States too.
4.2 times the national average. And when you find out what it is that make men sufficiently unhappy to want to kill themselves, a lot of what they're talking about are all the reasons that I used to be told it was wrong to get women into construction. They'd say, oh, you know, the conditions are terrible and you work too long on site and there aren't any decent toilets and PPE and decent food, and it's quite nice to see your family, maybe, after 3 weeks living in a caravan. And so I just say, this is people stuff. You give people decent working conditions, you allow them to have decent food, and you give them decent kit to wear. Because a lot of the men don't get decent kit. They're just saying, right, everything is a high-vis vests for men, a double XL or triple
Yeah.
XL. And if
We
you've
bought
got
in bulk and got a discount for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got men who are working with vests that flap around their arms and gloves that they can't. I mean, how can you do work with gloves like this?
Yeah.
So a lot of the time now I'm talking about this is people, and it particularly affects women because we're a different shape. And it's not a question of making it bigger. We're a different shape. So the equipment for women police officers, they're finally admitting now that body armor is unfit for purpose for the women in our police force. So they don't wear it.
I know a woman trying to make a new ballistic vest for women right now. She's in the prototype phase.
Oh, right. Well, that's interesting. And I think if we can work with other sectors, then we get away from this thing of, well, construction's different. You know, it's different. And
That's what I want to talk to you about next week. DeIla knows this. I have been playing with the idea of a summit, but not one where we just come and we talk about the same issues. One where we bring in the leaders from different sectors and actually have a conversation and walk out with the development of a roadmap to actually get this figured out, whether we need to identify more research opportunity, whether we need to all push collectively in one direction. I'm still playing with it, and I would love your perspective on it, because I will admit I'm still young to this advocacy. I'm still young to understanding how the politics are played in this space, but I'm resilient in this space, and I'm not going to go away.
Well, I think it's really useful to have other examples and other experiences. And I had a summit for International Women's Day 2 years ago, and I had Kelly McClellan from, you need to know Kelly McClellan.
She's
Um,
from the
She's
operating
Tradeswomen
engineers.
Building Bridges.
Crystal
she's great.
knows.
Yes, I do.
All
She's a
right.
And
powerhouse.
she joined the summit, and she was in the cab of her, now what was it she was doing? It wasn't a crane, it was a big earth mover. And she said, well, I've got to work today, but I'll join the summit. And to have somebody
her.
sitting in the cab was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I had somebody from the Middle East, where of course you have a whole new different thing on clothing. You know, if you're working
Yeah.
in the Middle East, then you have religious stuff and you have cultural stuff, and it was really good, and that was quite interesting. But it was still the industry. I'll leave you with one comment, and then I must make a move. But I was at a parliamentary meeting, and found a couple of people where we connected on this. It just happened. It was an old friend of mine from British Standards, and she said, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm here because of construction, blah, blah. And she said, I want to do something. And another woman was listening, and she said, oh, she said, don't get me started on proper PPE. So I said, oh, where do you work? What's your line of business? And she said, I'm a lawyer. So I said, what's your interest as a lawyer in PPE? So she said, well, I do a lot of work in the construction industry, and I visit a lot of construction sites. So I said, oh, why is that? She said, they're very good places for burying bodies. So I have to attend on site, and she was very petite, and she said, I arrive on site and I have to have the right kit because I'm on site as a visitor. And she said, I never get anything fit for purpose. So there I am as a professional looking at a serious issue, and I'm not being properly equipped. I think this is really interesting. And it's that sort of little anecdote that make people, just as you did, wow. And it sort of conjures up a bad Harrison Ford film. But you know what I mean? It's more than the people who are working on site. It's the people who visit a site. It's the client who is not actually a construction person, but has to be there. So how do you properly fit them? And it's bringing them in to make it a story which isn't, we work in this industry and we demand something right. It's, let's think about this. And she's been really quite helpful, but it just made everybody, wow, haven't thought about that. So it's,
You got me thinking of something now. We're definitely going to talk next week.
okay, we'll talk next week. I must go because it's now, gosh, it's 11:30.
Go to bed.
Andy,
I'm going to
thank
turn
you
into
so
a
much for your
pumpkin.
conversation
Yeah.
today.
Okay.
Your vantage point, your viewpoint has been incredibly refreshing. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to what you had to say, and it is definitely eye-opening. So thank you very
Yes,
much for
thank
joining
you.
us.
Yes.
Pleasure,
Yeah.
a pleasure. I shall say goodbye, ladies, and we'll connect again soon.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Sandy.
Bye.
Good night,
Thank
ladies.
you. Bye,
Bye.
ladies. Have a good evening or sleep.
Oh my
Bye,
goodness.
Crystal. Oh, how
That
are
was
you? You're good. You're still
wonderful.
there.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. We had like at one point, I think there was 27 I saw. And then I
That's
saw it go
awesome.
down. Oh, now Amy's calling me. Alrighty, dear, be careful. Are you home?
I am now, yes.
Okay.
And I actually had something for Amy too. I'll probably be reaching out to her, but I noticed she said she was coming in on that other summit, and
Yeah.
I'm sure she's had conversation with with Rita Brown then at some point, but we've got a
Yeah.
summit in March also that it'd be great to get her on the docket for, even if it doesn't happen this year, but for
She-
next year.
I'm almost certain, I know she said she was gonna be meeting Rita, and I'm actually in the works. So it's either gonna be someone from Dovetail Workwear, or I'm gonna lie to you and tell you the other company, the wrong company, but there's another company. It's either one of those two. And then I have Amy, and then Emily Sulliby, the one that we were talking about as well. She's the Juno Jones. She's also a NAWIC member out of Philadelphia. I'm in the works of, last year we had talked about trying to get a tradeswoman panel on the national stage for a conference. And so I'm in the works of getting those details together to submit for like the proposal to Kelly and them to say like, this is what the conversation would be. Trying to give it a little twist so it's not the same always, the PPE or our disparities. Like now I want it to be about those that are making the change for the women. Like, here's these people, this is what they're doing. And so I want to give a little twist to kind of just revamp it, just like you heard
Yeah,
Sandy
what's
say,
going
like we
right,
got to
too.
keep it fresh. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
What we're being successful at and what it's leading to. And so with the safety rack and with that global campaign, I'm like, there's so much more to all of this, Amy. I was like, I would really love to see your information like pushed even further. And so that's kind of where I've been working at. But I like how you said you want to see more of it. That's the goal. That's the goal with it for Boston, is that hopefully that is what can be approved for it. I got to put some finalizations to it. I still haven't heard back from the third. I was told 3 for the panel would probably be the best number, a good number for the panel.
Yeah.
And so it's that third one I'm waiting to hear from. I haven't heard from yet. I don't know if it's going to be one or the other from what I'm understanding. So once I get
I
that
think
information, hopefully we can get it solidified. And that's exactly what the conversation will be for national.
And I think too with pushing that out, trying to really get the outreach on the survey side of things,
Yes.
reaching out to the local union trades, they all have their contact list of all their female members that are working for them. And I realize that we're open to conversation with not just union, but non-union, and it may actually be a decent comparison of
Yeah.
where the advantages lie in certain applications. I heard somebody on this call had mentioned union trades and they provided.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw that in the chat.
and I know, I've had that similar feedback, but I've also had job sites where they completely didn't. So
Yeah.
I think it'd be an interesting, comparison, but
Yeah.
also just the fact of reaching out to that many
Yes.
women. If you can get the heads of those organizations, you're looking at hundreds, if not thousands per
Thousands.
state. That is just an instant grab.
Yeah, immediate. Exactly. So I asked from nationals, like the tradeswomen who've listed through membership as tradeswomen, and I think there's like 146 is what the number is, if I'm not mistaken, now that I'm thinking out loud. But 146 out of the almost 6,000 members in NAWIC are tradeswomen. I feel like that's underrepresented in that we don't have the true number. Like in my mind, I'm saying there's more tradeswomen within our association. They're just not listed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm constantly trying to push emails out, but I don't really ever get anything back. Honestly, like
It's
there's
hard.
hardly
It's
anything.
It's a challenge to even get feedback from like the emails that I send out to our own organization. I
Yeah.
know these ladies are tradeswomen. Like
Yeah.
they work for the same organization I do. I know they are. And you still don't get that response and that feedback. And part of that, I think, comes down to the hours we keep, how often we check our phone. Do I actually check my emails, or do I check like the top 2 out of the last 500 that I've gotten?
No
Text message
scroll.
seems to work well for me. If I want a response,
Okay.
text message is a better
Really?
option with like a link for a survey, as opposed to sending an email and making it all formalized. It goes in one ear, out the other, or they just don't even look at it. But when
I
I can send a
wonder,
text blast, it works well.
yeah. Well, my only then thought there, like if I were to try to see something like that, I'm sure a lot of the numbers the women have listed through like the membership directory are their work numbers. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so
Your
then that,
tradeswomen though typically aren't gonna have the work number. They're working
you're
off
not
their cell
wrong.
phone.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Yeah. Maybe I'll look into that. Maybe I do like a cold call on some of
Yeah.
those numbers, like, hi, Susie, how's it going? This is so and so. Is this your personal number or work number? I don't know how well that will be received.
Yeah, well, they'll either
Um,
answer or they won't.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so something that I wouldn't mind mulling over with you real quick while we are together. Do you think that we should try a different time?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on who the masses are that are actually attending. Because for me, the 5:30 personally works good, but I know for a lot of our ladies, they're still working or just
Yeah,
getting out of work. It's 4:30
yeah,
for you, but it's 5:30 for us when we
yeah.
start that. So
I know
if they
it.
aren't still working, then chances are they're home and doing dinner and,
Yeah.
you
And they don't
know,
want to spend their time here. Yeah,
right.
I
But I
know it.
don't know that you're gonna get a great I don't know that it's gonna work out for everybody in any regard,
Exactly.
any time frame
I
that you
know.
pick.
I
So
know it. I guess
if
my
it
only thought
works for
was
you
is
and your host,
yeah,
then
and that was the one thing I thought of. I was like, well, it works great for my time, but I'm trying to be considerate. And I know obviously this is our second year doing it. So I know last year we held it at the exact same time. So there hasn't been a change in the availability of the time at all to see, if there could be more grounds for people joining in. And that's just where I guess my now research mind is at. I'm like, maybe we just should try another time, but I don't want to confuse people with times. Like, I thought it was this time, and now you're saying it's this time. So, yeah, I get what you're
yeah,
saying.
that's a
Like,
tough one. You'd almost
got to
have to
make it
do it
work.
consistently for an
Yeah,
entire season of these
yeah,
webinars to see if
yeah.
it makes a difference.
Exactly. And I don't know when that would be a better time. Obviously, it's not going to be during the day ever. If there's a meeting during the day, I can never attend anyways. So a lot of
Right.
times when we have different stuff going on for NAWIC and it's through the day, I can never attend. Our Midwest region director changed our meetings and they're at 3:30 now. And I'm like, I can
Yeah,
attend
that
a
one
meeting.
doesn't work.
Like, yeah, I'm like right at the end of my day. So like give me a minute and I'll be late, but I'll be there. You
Yeah,
know.
my day goes till 4:30, so we do ours
Yeah.
at like lunchtime if we do a daytime meeting.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting here plowing our lunch, but everybody's able to join and it doesn't take any
Yeah.
family time away. So it actually works out really well for us.
What time do you usually have lunch during the day?
So I have it from 11:30 to 12:30, but we do our
Okay.
meeting from 12 to 12:30, and sometimes it
Oh,
goes
I got
over a little bit. But
I
the
gotcha.
people that need to hop off, and
Yeah.
we have, our quick and dirty conversation and get all
Uh-huh.
the bullet points out of the way, and then so we just
Exactly.
knock out those key points right off the get-go, and
Yep.
then any conversation after that, as many people can stay on, but the
Yeah.
rest of them go back about their business.
I know it. I've thought about maybe trying something like that, but literally for my lunch, I have from my bell rings at 11:35 and the students leave, and then my next bell is 12:08. So from 11:35 to 12:08 is what I have for like my lunch break with it. And I don't feel like that would be adequate for anyone for anything for that time. So I never ever consider my middle of my day. But yeah, I don't know, Crystal. Honestly, it's something that you may consider, especially with becoming for the chair next year, that um, maybe see about a time change to see if that can change anything for the committee and you see an increase in, those attending. But the only other option you have is to go later. And like you said, once you're off of work, damn it, I don't want to be back on a call really, so
Right.
I get it. I get that. It's interesting to
Unless I set a
navigate.
calendar reminder, I'm gonna forget
Exactly.
about it anyways. That's what I do when I leave
Exactly.
work. I have a calendar reminder and it went
Yes.
off, and then I was like, "Oh crap, I gotta hop on this meeting."
Like shit, this is going on.
Yeah.
And then are you available for the webinar a week from tomorrow?
So it'll be the same situation as what I've got going on right now,
Yep.
where it'll be
Okay. Well,
I'm
I'll
already in and
have,
out
I
home.
have a bit of a slide put together, nothing fancy. I'm using the selfcheck.org as like the guide for it, and I have links to it so people can use some of their tools and resources that they have on there. And just talking about like the different things about, I'm not a medical professional. I actually went to school for nursing. So funny to say and look at now, but it's something that I think is important to talk about, but I'm not going to get into like the diagnosis, nothing like that. It's just like the things that we don't think of that we should consider, especially with the work that we do. And then I really want to hit on like just being a tradeswoman and making sure you're taking that time for yourself. I don't care what kind of time it's for. You need time for something. Is that something for you? Relaxing and playing on your phone and laying down? Is it going for a walk? Is it crocheting? Is it sleeping? I don't care what it is. You need to make time for it. And so, I think it'd be cool to have everybody kind of share their thing that they have, that they do, if people are comfortable with it. But it's not like you have to read from anything. Please always add in whenever going over something like that. But I think, hold on, let me look at my phone real quick. Where'd it go? Where's your name? Oh, there you are. But I don't know if you had seen the one where I was asking about the texts about finalizing the details for the February webinar and just making sure. I know you say you drive usually, which no, that's not a big deal at all. So it's not like you have to read anything, but I didn't know for sure. I put your name on the information. So it's saying, of course, that you and I are hosting for February with it. But as for reading anything off of any of the slides, you don't have to worry about that since I know you're driving, but
No, that one,
always holler in.
I did see that and I didn't respond to it. Son of a
No,
pup. I'm sorry about
listen,
that.
I am that person through and through, Crystal. Don't even. Yeah, I
Um,
understand it. You get distracted and on to the next thing.
so this conversation just brought to mind, I've got a fellow female operator that actually one of my very first female mentors that I had in the trade. And
Yeah.
on the job site that I met her on, she was actually diagnosed with breast cancer while we were on that job. And so I watched her through that process of working through the diagnosis and still having to continue to work
Mm-hmm.
and going in for treatments and the conversations about having a double mastectomy and what that would look like for the future and the mental effects that then came back as a result of that. This woman is strong as they get, feisty as they come, and she powered through all of it like a champ. But looking at that process and what it looked like for a tradeswoman actively on a job site, it'd be kind of cool if I could get her to commit to sharing that story and what that looks
During,
like as a tradeswoman.
yeah, you're saying like for the self-check month and stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't know if I
Yes.
don't know if I could get her to commit to it. She is obviously active tradeswoman, so it's hard to nail her down
Right.
on anything,
Well,
but
and here's the thing too, if she couldn't log in at exactly 4:30, if she doesn't log in until 5 or 5:15, it could be we have someone coming on, she's coming from work, so she's going to be a little late, but she's going to be a great advocate for this series, just for you to understand the importance of those self-checks and that you're a woman working in the trades and the things that you're going to have to go through still with your body, even while it's going through things like that. Oh man, you're right. She's got to be the strongest and feistiest. You got to be feisty still with things
oh
like
yeah.
that. Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, certainly like see about reaching out to her if you would, either, tonight or tomorrow, and
Okay.
kind of, tell her that if she's interested. I think I have like the little blurb on the webinar page talking about the National Self-Check Month and stuff like that. My phone just keeps blowing up. People chill out.
Everyone's
And
so excited. They want to
and
talk to you after
so,
that.
well, now it's my mom.
Oh, okay.
But if she's willing to share that story, I think that would be like that's that real, raw, true, here's the reasons why kind of thing. That would be an amazing addition for that.
Okay.
If not,
Okay.
obviously. And here's the thing too, Crystal, we don't even know this. who knows who's going to be on that call and who's going to have gone through maybe something
Yeah.
similar or something else like that and has had to figure that out. And so we may have that even in our audience without knowing it. But if she's ready and willing and prepared to discuss that, oh, please, that would be wonderful to have on there. That's that authenticity to it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
I
right.
will definitely reach out to her and yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you, my dear. Glad you made it home safely, and I'll see you in a week or so.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, Crystal. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.